Our country, and in some cases the world, has erupted into violence. That's what we'll be discussing today. Hi, my name is Todd. I want to thank you for tuning into the Teal Jack channel. I greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch one of my videos. Thank you so much. Please hit like and subscribe if you would. Turn the bell on as well. All of that helps me out. So here's what we got. City of Portland, amongst other cities within our country, has erupted in this Black Lives Matter movement. And many people are literally turning a blind eye to what is going on. And so I'm going to give you my perspective. And here's my perspective. When you actually go to Black Lives Matter's website and you actually look up what they stand for, it should trouble you in the very beginning. Because I really don't believe this whole issue taking place across our country is about racism. Because I still believe to this day that the United States of America is still the greatest country in the world. Albeit we have our flaws. It's not perfect. But we're not a racist nation, as you are hearing regularly being pitched by Black Lives Matter, by the Democrat Party, by the left-wing media. We are not that way. Police aren't out there specifically targeting certain people under this systematic racism that you hear them saying all the time. What I do know, and what I have seen personally, is yes, there are cases where black people end up getting pulled over because they look suspicious solely because they're driving a particular type of car. And they might spend a little bit more time being harassed on the side of the road, ultimately compliance with the police, doing what they ask, and they're on their way. And if they really feel like they've been harmed about it, we got a wonderful legal system that allows you to turn around and sue if you feel that's what needs to be done because your rights were violated. So I do know that happens. But you know what? That even happens to some of us white boys like it did me when I was in high school as a teenager. Pulled over in the middle of the night. Why? Because I looked suspicious. What did I do? I was on my way home from a diving course and realized I was out my sunglasses, even though it was dark. And I pulled over to the side of the road, pulled off into a driveway, turned on my dome light, looked through my bag to see if I had placed my sunglasses in my bag. The sunglasses were important to me because I wear contacts and I was planning on riding my bike to work the next day. And so I turned around and drove back to the dive center where my sunglasses were at. But I got pulled over at that dive center. The sheriff didn't suspect me of doing anything other than I was suspicious. And of course, being a young teenager, he requests to search my car. Well, at the time, I really didn't know my rights well enough, and I just complied, thinking it might be easier if I comply and be on my way. And inside my bag of all my dive gear was my dive knife. And then he harassed me on that, saying that I'm concealing a concealed weapon, and I could be arrested on those grounds. And the harassment went on for quite some time thereafter, and I sat in the driveway of the dive center with this police officer searching my car. So I know what it's like to be wrongfully accused of something. And I can feel for everybody who does. But what I am not seeing in our country is this systematic state-sponsored racism that is being pitched our way. But what I do see is a lot of violence. A bunch of people going out and looting, destroying businesses, destroying property, setting fire to police cars, setting fire to police cars with police officers in cars, killing people even, people who are defending their business, amongst other situations, people getting beaten. And I see this going on. And this reminds me an awful lot of historically what went on with the Bolshevik Revolution and what went on with the rise of the Nazi Party in Germany. The systematic accusations pitched towards another group of people to make them look smaller, to belittle them, so that crimes could be committed against them and nobody sees it as being wrong. And that in some ways is what's going on, except for in this case, the focus is on the police. And I would say by extension, even conservatives, because they are definitely a target of them. And I'm seeing quite regularly white people bowing down to black people in our public streets. Supposedly that's showing a sign of solidarity. But what in effect it's doing is showing fascism. The black party, or the black people, are now becoming the superior people of our country. And you must bow down to us. You are a racist unless you jump on board our mindset. You are a racist unless you show us some sort of solidarity by kneeling before us. And that's wrong. We got Republicans, we got Christian pastors, all going out in support of Black Lives Matter. And it makes me wonder if they're actually thinking about what they're doing. If they've actually done research into what this group actually upholds. For instance, one of their heroes, Trayvon Martin, I'll just simply call him a thug, attacks a guy, Zimmerman, physically beats him, ultimately gets himself shot by Zimmerman. And he's being touted as a hero in the black community, as a martyr. And then you got that other thug from Ferguson, known as Michael Brown, who robs a convenience store, gets stopped by a police officer who's sitting in his car. And as the video clearly shows, he starts assaulting the police officer while he's sitting in the car, ultimately losing his life to that police officer in what I would say is self-defense. An action that anyone else has a right to take in our country if you're physically being beaten and you feel your life's at threat. Not to mention, he actually was reaching for that police officer's firearm. And now let's look at the latest hero, the latest martyr. Albeit, what happened to him was horrific. What happened to him should not have taken place in our country. We are definitely better than that. But the police officers are being held on charges around what they did. And what was his life like? George Floyd. If you look into his history, you can see he was a lifelong criminal. Now, even though he might have been a lifelong criminal, that doesn't give the police the right to arbitrarily execute him on the side of the road. And those guys should be held accountable, and hopefully they will be convicted on those charges, because after all, the video says it all. And I don't think we need to say any more. But because there's a few bad seeds in our country, now we got Black Lives Matter and all these people, including Republicans and pastors that are supporting this movement out on our streets. They're now calling to eliminate police altogether. And what are they going to do the next time somebody breaks into their house? What are they going to do then? What are they going to do if someone breaks into your home and then rapes you? Who are you going to call at that point? Because you've disbanded the police. You've defunded the police. What's going to take place now? We have already seen, based off statistics from places like Ferguson, that after that incident, the police backed off and we saw crime increase. We know in history of man, just period, that without law and law enforcement, you get a rise in crime. You heard of the Wild West? Imagine what will take place if we disband our police departments. And that leads me to another thing. A lot of these cities that are removing funds from the police officers, like here in Portland, they have now pulled all of the student resource officers from our high schools. They're gone. They're going to send that money elsewhere to support what I heard was black children. $1 million is what was being used for the school resource officers. Now it's going to go to some black children. I don't know how that's going to work out, but that's what the mayor is going to do. What did that accomplish? Because if you kids say we don't feel safe with these police officers in the building, why? Why don't you feel safe? You should absolutely feel safe with the police officer there, because they're not there to harm you. But they will if you've committed a crime. Let's stop and think about that for a minute. They're there for protection, and now we remove them. We've already got a history of school shootings, and the solution isn't more gun control and eliminating the Second Amendment, which is where I believe a lot of these people are going to go. That's not the solution. And removing the police from those facilities is only doing one thing, and that's increasing its ability to be a soft target for someone to come in and do a bad thing and do another mass shooting. Because at least with a police officer there in the building, you've at least got somebody who could respond right now instead of waiting 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5, 6 minutes. Depends on where your police department's at or your local sheriff is located. Depends on where the patrol cars are at within the city. Can they reach there within a few seconds? And the answer is no. In shooting cases, seconds matter to do whatever harm they desire to do, to pull off whatever evil act they want to do. Which leads me to my last point. And this movement is not peaceful by any way, shape, or form. Just look what's going on. You think walking in streets and blocking traffic is peaceful? You think walking out onto a local freeway like I-84 here in Portland is peaceful? It's disrupting other people's mode of transportation. And that's peaceful. You know what? Look no further than Cuomo, Chris Cuomo, CNN. It's quite obviously that guy has not read the Constitution, because he would know in the First Amendment that your right is for peaceful assembly. And what has been going on is not peaceful. Tagging buildings, spray painting foul words all over the sides of the building, breaking windows, looting, setting fires, throwing Molotov cocktails, throwing fireworks at police officers, throwing rocks, hard-boiled eggs, bottled goods. That's peaceful. Because that's not peaceful in my world. You see them gathering outside the White House. And I was surprised to see that they didn't actually tear the fence down and go in and try and physically remove the president from office. Because I believe ultimately that is what their ultimate goal is. They want to eliminate the police and they want to eliminate the president. And they want to get this state, get this government into a situation where you can never have another conservative view at all. You could never have anybody with a dissenting mind that counters their thoughts, that goes against their ideology. And that in itself is fascism. And that's what they want. They're calling me a racist because I won't stand up for the Black Lives Matter movement. They call me a racist because of my white skin. They call me a racist because I'm not out marching in the streets. I'm sorry to tell you this. I am not racist. I've had black friends in my past. Good ones. Because of moving to different locations, we've lost touch with each other. But I respect them very much. We've prayed together. We shared God's word together. We ate regularly together. And I enjoyed their company. You want to make a change in America, look no further than yourself. You should look inward to your own character and look into what you can do to make a change in yourself, to better yourself for society, because we are definitely better than what we are seeing out on our streets, in these protests, in the violence, the calls for getting rid of the police. We are better than that. Remember, every finger you point at somebody who you say isn't bowing down to you and they're racist because they're not jumping on board Black Lives Matter, or they don't support our ideology, or they're not out to end the police systematic racism. They point their finger at them and call them a racist, yet they've got 3 more pointing right back at them. And they forget that. So who really is the racist in this country? I'm not going to point a finger, but I think you know where I'm going with this video. But my call is to look to yourself. Until you can look at yourself in clear conscience and say, yeah, I accept anybody based on their character, based on what's in their heart, then let's move forward. But if you can't do that, then you need to do some inner reflection and see where your hatred is, see where your anger's at, and then try and find a way to resolve it. Because what you are doing currently, tearing up our towns, destroying our cities, making your city mayors bow before you, and if they don't say the right words, then you swear at them and tell them to leave. Mind you, it's their city to begin with, and you're telling them to leave, like we saw in, I believe it was Minneapolis. It's sickening. It's sickening. We are better than this. The world is better than this. And we need to start focusing on what is important, and that's rebuilding our economy, getting jobs back. You want to make a change in your police department, look no further than your Democratic leftist party. Why? Because in a lot of these cities where these police systematic racism is taking place are cities that have been controlled by Democrats for decades. So why didn't they make those changes early on? And this is such a big deal. Why aren't you calling for your own Democrat Party to change its way? But it's just so much easier to point that the Republicans are the racists, and the conservatives are the racists, and the Christians are the racists, and the white people are the racists. They're the problems. Where does this go? Where do we go from here? Because when mob violence rules, lives get lost. Where's the cry amongst the black people on the black-on-black crime, murders, shootings, beatings that take place? Look at the statistics. They're frightening when you actually look at the numbers. The white-on-black crime is there, yes, but it is much lower than the black-on-black crime. Why don't you look there? Why don't you look at maybe what some of the root cause to this is? Could it potentially be the welfare state that was brought in by the Democrat Party? Why don't you look there? Why don't you look at how you can improve yourself before pointing fingers at others? Inner reflection is what this country needs right now. And a little more looking into yourself, looking where your heart is, looking where your mind's at, and challenging your thoughts, challenging what's in your heart, and taking a step to make that change. Michael Jackson wrote a song, which is what I'm kind of pitching at today. Black community should be singing it loud and clear today. Man in the mirror. And what was he pointing at? Looking at himself. Looking at himself in the mirror. And that's what we need more in this country. Yeah, I can say the hippie thing or the peaceful thing and say that we need love, and that is true. But we also need is more of Jesus. Instead of removing the 10 Commandments from our society, which gives us laws automatically in the 10 Commandments about not stealing, not murder, not coveting your neighbor's wife, amongst others. It's a good foundation that the whole country should be standing on. The whole world should stand on those and uphold those moral values more than anything. But no, we are living in the age where we can't have that. Got to remove it. And when we start removing it, this is where we lead to. Violence on the street, people shedding blood, destroying of people's businesses, stealing of property, and no angst that what they are doing is wrong. Because they feel justified because they've been wrong some point in their life. Or their ancestor was harmed at some point in their life. So therefore, I'm justified in the actions I'm taking. I'm a black man. I'm a brown man. I'm an Asian man. I'm a white man. I've been put down by people, so I'm going to go out and steal, rob, commit rape, and murder. Why? Because I'm deserving of doing it. Because this society owes me. That is not the attitude to have. Defacing our national monuments, like statues of Abraham Lincoln. Do you people, Black Lives Matter, do not even understand the history around that man? The one who ended slavery at the cost of hundreds of thousands of lives fighting in the Civil War to set the black man free from slavery? And you're out there defacing his statues. It's sick. It's disgusting. And you people are better than that. Black, brown, white, Asian, it does not matter. What matters is the character of your heart. And the character I'm seeing out on the streets is a character I don't want to be a part of. Why don't you take a minute and start standing up for righteousness first? Look at yourself before you decide to start pointing fingers elsewhere. That's what I have for you today. A little bit long, over 20 minutes. I apologize for that. I've been wanting to state this for a while. I did do another video on this earlier on when this first got started, but I've been having troubles with my computer allowing me to upload because I was shooting it in 2K or 4K, I don't remember which. And my computer system I currently have won't let me edit that kind of video. So I'm sorry this one's long. But I needed to make this statement. I needed to say it. So please, for the love of God and all humanity, do some inner reflection on yourself and see where you can change to make our society better. And if you feel that there is systematic police racism or systematic racism in their country, or if you feel like I have some sort of white privilege because I'm white, do a little more reflecting. You might find a different answer. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please share this video with your friends, other family members. Take care. God bless. We'll catch you next time. Hi, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to watch one of my videos. Please hit the like button below, and if you would, hit the subscribe link up here, and take some time to watch one of my other videos. Thanks again, and have a wonderful day. God bless, and take care of yourself.